So this week we had Andy come through who'd never had a wedge fitting before. He had just bought some wedges off the rack. Looking at his pitching wedge, he'd had some advice on that he needed a gap wedge, a sand wedge and a lob wedge. He didn't really know about the bounce and the loft or the grind or what differences they made. So this is what we went through in the session to find out how does he play his wedge shots, to what wedge he needs and what setup he needs and what lofts. So you'll see on here we've got some nice clear differences in terms of distances. And he's a good low single figure golfer. So he wasn't too worried about strike with his pitching wedge. So he was doing most of his work with his pitching wedge and ignoring his other wedges that he had because he complained that he couldn't quite get the quality of strike that he wanted. But it came down to that his wedge setup was actually really poor for how he played the type of shot. He had wedges with big wide soles, with lots of bounce, and he plays on a golf course that's quite hard ground and tight lies. So the first thing that I did was take away some of that bounce and allow the club to sit tighter to the floor. So for those of you that are not too clear on what bounce is, it's the curvature on the bottom of the sole and how it sits on the floor and how it would interact with the turf. So to have a wedge that sits very high and raised isn't very appealing when you're playing on ground that's quite hard. So we took that away and allowed him to have a lower bounce wedge that sat tighter because his technique was quite shallow and quite a sweeping action as it came through. So you can see here, once we'd made some changes, you can see the differences that he got in distances and that he had clear dispersion with them. But the biggest thing was that he had confidence to play these types of shots with his wedges. It makes a big difference when you have options round the green rather than trying to use one club to do all the different jobs. So if you're struggling with your short game or you wanted more knowledge on it, a wedge fitting is a really clear way to go to get more knowledge and to hopefully improve your short game.